2020 obviously has different requirements to play, and since LSU forgot about these, Week 8 in the SEC looks a little bit more like this. Alabama was definitely lacking a piece of its team in Nick Saban out with COVID-19, but the final score today shows that he did what was necessary during the week in order to execute today. So who will light up a victory cigar today? Alabama historically has the upper hand over the past 102 meetings, winning 57 of them. It really got down to the wire in Indianapolis and right here in our newsroom, but unfortunately for the Alabama Crimson Tide, their NCAA tournament dreams came to a close tonight. We are exactly 140 days away from the 2021 kickoff and 147 days away from when fans can attend a game in Bryant-Denny Stadium again. If you go back to 2015, Mac Jones would have been committed to the Kentucky Wildcats, but it's 2020 and lucky for Alabama fans, he plays for the Crimson Tide. 2019 proved to be much kinder to the Auburn Tigers than 2020. This afternoon's game didn't see a touchdown from the team across the state until the fourth quarter, something that ultimately did them in. Saturday night would have marked the 85th meeting between Tide and Tigers. After last year's narrow loss in Tuscaloosa that snapped Alabama's 8-game win streak, revenge in Baton Rouge was on the agenda. Unfortunately for both teams, COVID-19 got in the way.
This is often a big game for us. LSU game's always a big game. It's turned into kind of a rivalry game because of the success of the two programs, and I don't think this year is really any different, regardless of record.
Alabama has dominated the rivalry, winning 53 of the 84 matchups since 1895. 2020 obviously has different requirements to play, and since LSU forgot about these, Week 8 in the SEC looks a little bit more like this.
Games like this is why everyone wants to get a chance to play college football. I mean, everyone on our team looks forward to a game like this, regardless of the situation, where we get to go and play an away game against a really good team.
Nick Saban has won 10 of the 14 games he's coached against LSU since joining the Tide in 2007. Rescheduling this year's game remains to be seen. Reporting for WVUA 23 Sports, I'm Julia Westerman. Sam Shade may have played his last game in Bryant-Denny Stadium back in 1994, but little did he know then that it wouldn't be his last time under the lights in Tuscaloosa. Sam Shade is no stranger to Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's been 26 years since he last stepped on the field as a player, but Friday night he entered once again with a different title, head coach. Shade joined the Pinson Valley staff in February, replacing two-time state champion Patrick Nix. The departure of such a successful coach was difficult for the team, but Shade made it a learning moment.
The game of football is going to teach you a lot of lessons, a lot of life lessons, and one of the biggest ones right then was change. They went through a coaching change with me coming in and, Coach Nick's leaving. So I told them sometimes you're going to have to deal with that in life.
The former Alabama safety may not have had to overcome a deficit in the 1992 national championship game, but Friday night the Indians were down 13-10 at half. They did what they had to do in the second half, which included a 52-yard pass play touchdown to Kool-Aid McKinstry, a 2021 Alabama commit, to retake the lead. Throughout each individual success, Shade emphasized one thing: togetherness.
10 years from now, we'll come back, we'll have a reunion, and nobody will talk about all the individual stuff. You guys just will talk about this team coming together, being brothers, having each other's back. It's just going to be about the relationship that you guys have built.
Shade's 4 years at Alabama crafted his understanding of brotherhood, and his 4 years under Gene Stallings unknowingly prepared him to be a coach himself. With one state championship under his belt, it appears he's on the right track. Last night's win is Pinson Valley's third championship title in the past 4 years, and the first one for Sam Shade as head coach of the Indians. Live for CTKO, I'm Julia Westerman. Good evening, I'm Julia Westerman. We are 1 week away from the final spring football practice of 2021, otherwise known as A-Day. With 11 practices under their belt so far, this year's squad entered Bryant-Denny Stadium this afternoon for a second scrimmage. Head coach Nick Saban said this week challenged the players to play with better effort, toughness, and responsibility. Bryce Young had another good day, showing better knowledge of the playbook, but needing to work on his overall field presence. Roydell Williams saw the most yards at running back, but Brian Robinson continues to have a good spring. Cameron Letu and LeBrian Ray each received nods from Saban based on their overall performance. Injury-wise, Evan Neal went out during the scrimmage, and Javion Cohen did not play with a bone spur, but is expected to back on Tuesday. Saban touched on the state of the offensive line, citing the experience the players are getting against the defense will only help them grow.
We've probably got more guys that can rush, that have more maturity. We got a couple of the young guys that can rush. So they're getting challenged, which I think is good. We always say, when you get to practice against really good guys, that really helps your development, helps you self-assess, helps you know what you need to improve on.
It's been a solid weekend through 2 games for the Crimson Tide in College Station. Zane Denton singles to center field and gets his 21st RBI this season. 22nd comes later in this game, but he brings home Jim Jarvis to score the first run of the game. Still in the third and not slowing down after 2 more runs, Drew Williamson singles straight up the middle, and Denton secures the 4th run of that inning. Alabama just taking control out there in Texas. Well, A&M's trying to not get too far behind. Kalai Harrison smacks one up the center for a base hit. Ty Coleman and Bryce Blom each score a run to cut the Tide's lead to 2, now only up 5-3, but it's Alabama's day. Landon Green strikes out Taylor Smith to get the Tide up 2-0 in the series. Final score 6-3 in Bluebell Park. On the other end, tough day 2 for Crimson Tide softball up in Fayetteville. Alabama falls to Arkansas 4-0, only recording 2 hits all game, both from KB sides. With today's loss, they split the series. Game 3 is tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central. Taking you out to Sam Bailey Track and Field Stadium for Senior Day and the end of a 3-day invitational. The women's 4x100 team kicks us off with a 2nd place finish, just 0.4 of a second behind winner LSU. Moving on to the men's 110-meter hurdles, we'll see senior Robert Dunning securing a 1st place finish for the Tide and sets a new personal best at 13.42 seconds. Look at him taking control of those hurdles. Well, rounding things off this afternoon with 2 runners for Alabama in the men's 400-meter dash, Gabriel Serrano takes 1st in the heat with freshman Jonathan Martin right behind him in 2nd. Both end up taking top 5 overall. Alabama soccer's Reina Reyes got called up to compete with the Mexican women's national team for a 3rd time this season, joining the team for 2 European friendlies. Today's match against the Slovakian national team ended 0-0, but Reyes staved off a last-minute scoring attempt by Slovakia. Mexico will play Spain next on Tuesday. For the 2nd consecutive year, Stillman women's basketball head coach Madonna Thompson and men's basketball head coach Joe Eatman have been named the 2021 Alabama Community College Conference Region 22 Coaches of the Year. Eatman led the men's team to a 17-4 record, SSAC championship game, and the NAIA round of 16. Thompson and the women made it to the 1st round of the SSAC championships as well. Congratulations to both Stillman coaches on a great year. Rain isn't a good thing on any moving day, and especially not when it's moving day in Augusta. The 3rd round of the Masters continued today after an hour and 15-minute weather delay, but we were able to see some leaderboard movement today. At the end of the 3rd round, Hideki Matsuyama is the leader, finishing at 7 under to sit atop the board at 11 under, 4 shots ahead of Justin Rose and 3 others. Rose had a solid day, knocking in birdies on the 1st and 2nd holes, staying on pace throughout the day and keeping consistency. Matsuyama took a share of the lead with a birdie on the signature 12th hole, continuing to thrive after all of the weather issues of the round today. Jordan Spieth attempting to stay on the edge of contention in the 3rd round. He has a strong chip shot here and ultimately gets a birdie on the hole, ending the day at 5 under, only 6 shots back of the lead. But Alabama's own Justin Thomas, after a strong outing in the 2nd round, Thomas hit rock bottom today in the 2nd 9 with a duo of bogeys and a triple bogey, ultimately finishing the day at 3 over and slimming his chances at the green jacket. The final round of the Masters tees off tomorrow at 7 a.m. Central. That's it for sports. We'll be back after this.